Like, would you hire me? Like, can I have a position here?
You're pushing it, but okay.
I am pushing it, but it works every time.
Right. Let's do it. It's a nice ride, by the way.
The heat is terrible, it's giving me a rash. How are you doing today? Once I said that, Yossi.
Creative people struggle with that. That's psychological. I'm tripping on someone's brain.
Yeah.
I'm thinking I'm on a ride. Be like the DQE, right? Never stop working on yourself, right?
Welcome to another episode of Podsitivity. I have with the esteemed Yossi Blumenfeld from GCNY Marketing. We're sitting here in his office with a new decorated wall. Yossi, how are you feeling?
You like it?
I love it. It's my colors, and I feel at home.
We did it. We wanted to welcome you with a warm welcome, so we made a custom mural.
Right. For all the people watching this and thinking they want a position in the company, how do they?
You have to be very talented.
Really? Like, would you hire me? Like, can I have a position here?
I'm thinking about what area you would fit in. You could be the face of the company.
Really?
Yeah.
How about?
Let's do it.
What are the ups? What are the downs, in your opinion?
The ups is you represent a very talented group of people who know what they're doing, that their clients love them, and you could take your positivity and channel it into the projects.
Wow.
How about that?
Okay, should we go into the boardroom? I know you have a very nice.
Let's
Any
talk about
negatives,
it.
by the way, besides being like overwhelmed and
We
busy
don't see
with?
negative.
Wow.
You're all about positivity. I always hear you
Right.
smile and giggle.
Right.
I love that about you.
Thank you, I appreciate it. In creativity, I feel like it really runs deep, and I've spoken to many people in your team. They all had this growing up. So were you that type of kid? Like when you were 6, you were cutting out the foam plates at lunch in school and making pictures and designs?
I actually was. I did my first logo when I was about 7 years old.
Wow.
And they actually placed it onto a mirror for it was a ballroom or something. And that was like the happiest day of my life.
Wow.
It was pretty cool.
So this was you from the get-go?
So I was made out of it. I don't know.
Wow. Okay. That's cool.
Then I did a lot of wedding invitations, like monograms and stuff. I did like over 100.
Really?
By hand, no computers.
Is it still a thing today? I think
No,
today
they just put like an initial.
yeah,
like a
initial,
letter.
right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Times have changed, huh?
Right. So a little bit more of your journey, and then you did probably the Shabbos Zvados in school.
Exactly.
They made the logo for the Shabbos Zvados.
Of course, by hand still.
Right.
And then my father bought me this huge scanner. Nobody had scanners then.
Okay.
And I started being able to digitalize my work, basically. I put it on the computer. I drew half of the frame, and then I just flipped it on the computer, and it was beautiful.
Oh yeah, I remember those times. That was amazing.
Exactly. So that
the
was like
logos,
my first thing that I did. It was pretty epic. So I did stuff for Yeshiva. Then I went to Shiva Gedolah. I did also other stuff in it through, like for Belz, I did the Simcha, the huge signs and stuff.
Right.
It just grew into it.
Wow.
Exactly.
Nice.
It's a nice ride, by the way.
Wow, it's truly inspiring. And
How did you start being like such a face of yourself?
thank you for that compliment. I feel pretty much the same, actually. I feel like I grew up, I was always the one expressing myself. So I was always either singing or dancing or acting or writing or just entertaining or even arranging. I always had that, people were drawn to me, and I always had this love for expressing myself. And part of it came because I was also a chubby child. So you know how the chubby child always, it was like a protective mechanism. I had to protect my, people shouldn't make fun of me. So
Is it still that, or now it's like turned into something real?
well, I'm not a chubby child anymore, so now I'm handsome and good looking. So it's really just creativity. But I'm saying it in a positive way, that I feel Hashem gave me that challenge growing up, that I was chubby, so that I would go pedal to the metal and express myself all the way.
It's very impressive. Let me ask you, there's creative
Just
brains?
turned it around. I'm gonna allow it.
I want to learn. I came here to learn, by the way.
Okay.
You know, there's creative brains, right? Creative brains are very messy.
Yeah.
And then there's people like have regular brains.
Yeah.
So regular people think linear.
Right.
So they could focus, they could be present, they could enjoy their day in a more like a mindful, present way.
Right.
Creative people struggle with that.
I totally agree. We actually discussed this with some of the people here in the team. One of the things that I know is that for a day like today, there is specific preparations that I do so that I stay calm and grounded. Because First of all, right now as we speak, I'm noticing the adrenaline. I'm noticing that I'm in a good mood and happy. This is above average level.
You're being
So,
mindful.
right. So I'm happy to notice it. I'm very conscious of what I'm doing, and it's just being in a flow. And after this, probably I'm going to feel like it's going to calm down. But part of what I do is the preparation. So like exercising every morning. Even today, I did breath work for about an hour.
Wow.
Just breathing and relaxing and calming down, because I knew that this is going to happen. There's going to be a lot of people and a lot of action. So the answer is my brain does rush a lot, and it thinks a lot, and it thinks very quickly. But I love challenging it and calming it down. And I love to not think. That's a mistake people think. When they have a problem, they think their way out of it. And the brain that created the problem can't create the solution. Men, by nature, are like that, by the way. They're problem solvers. That's why when their wife comes to them with a problem, we always try to solve it, usually, which is a very big problem. Don't solve my problem.
You're
I'm
making
just
the
here
problem
to
into a
talk
much
to you
bigger
about
problem,
it. Just
right.
listen. But men are problem solvers by nature. So they'll try to. So I try to solve the problems that my brain creates, but I usually tell them, it's okay. Don't create a problem. Don't create a solution. Just let me breathe.
It's unthinkable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I can be your coach, by the way.
You're my couch.
In Yiddish, they say coach for a
Right.
couch, right? But do you find yourself wandering a lot? Do you find yourself like...
I think the creative brain struggles a lot. It just can't think deep. It can think fast and smart, but not deep.
Is
It's
that
just
your
hard to
thing? Are you
focus.
fast and smart?
Yeah, I think I'm pretty fast and smart. Yeah, definitely.
Which position or character within your team really does something that you can do?
Oh, a lot of
In a
them.
creative process, not just in website design or whatever.
That's a good question. Because I started out doing everything myself. So I learned the ropes of how to do it. Some people are better at their craft than me here.
Right.
Because they're younger or they have more exposure or more experience in terms of
Younger is a big one, by the way, because it's becoming
design trends
more and
keep on
more.
changing.
They're like,
Yeah, it's very fast.
They're so fast.
Let's
No,
say
meaning the young generation is becoming faster and faster.
Exactly.
So whatever we know,
You just have to run after them.
we have to. Really,
It
it's
is
really that
difficult.
way.
So that's why you hire people that are better than you.
So which part creativity do you feel that there is a certain person or position that fills something that you don't like?
I think writing, first of all.
Oh, so you.
I like conceptual writing, but not real writing. I don't write real writing as well.
Interesting.
So I'd come up with an idea or an approach, but writers do definitely better work than me.
Wow.
Digital design, UX, UI is also a complex area. Designing software,
Right.
that's also something that other people probably do much better than me. So that's cool. I love watching people doing things better than I do them, but with the direction and creativity that I started off. It's just like it grows into something bigger than what I had in mind. It's pretty cool.
That's so interesting, because I feel writing for me is where I started, definitely. I used to do newsletters and weekly Gilionis and stuff like that. But then it channeled, like writing went out the window, and now everything is podcasts. So now I'm just talking what I would be writing.
Is talking that different than writing?
Yes, because writing, there is so much more expressing yourself. You know, like I was walking in at the beach and I saw this beautiful thing come out. People don't talk that way. And when you write, you
express yourself differently.
Yeah. Do you think that writing is kind of slowing down in the last few years?
Not
or
at
it's
all. Writing is
still-
at the core. Just writing became more simplistic in the past 10, 15 years. It used to be more like people used to try to be sophisticated and complex with writing. And if you look at all new startup websites and all new projects that are floating around, you'll see that writing became extremely simplified. It's just very to the point, less adjectives, less explanation, more sharp and smart messaging.
Wow, interesting. Is there anything specific that you do for your creativity, or you feel that it's just like, it's just me, this is just my life, and I've been creative like this?
Yeah, it's a God-given talent, I think. I don't do any methods. I just see things that other people don't see, and that's why your brain is crooked.
Are you crooked?
Very.
Wow.
Get crazy, New York. What do you think?
To touch on that, what does creativity in that sense mean? So a company comes to you, are you saying basically that you're out of the box?
Of course I'm out of the box.
Okay. Do you think that a lot of companies are in the box? Not to compare, I'm just
Most
saying.
companies should be in the box. They're not creative companies. They're not trying to show off creativity, but when they problem solve or communicate with customers if you add creativity to that, you're much better, you're much faster, you're much more impactful, and you stand out.
Do you still do any sales for your company, or you're
Very
like
little.
past that? The sales come inbound, no?
Mostly, but we have to convince people to pay big money for big projects, you know?
And from branding, marketing, and advertising, what do you think? Where do you think is your biggest strength?
I think
for
our
yourself?
cornerstone is branding, because I think of positioning, especially in our competitive market, we're for sure the best in terms of positioning. Understanding the scope of a brand's personality and communication levels and tone of voice. These are things that you really have to have a very strong talent to understand and comprehend fast, based on a market, based on a product, based on a service. You need to know what this is trying to do and how you get the customer to connect to it.
Right.
So I think that branding and positioning is at the core of what we do in general. And after that, we could build things off it, like campaigns or marketing, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But at the core, I definitely think that branding is sitting at the top of the ladder.
Really, branding. Wow. I
You know, you
think
take a brand, you develop it into a website, it's fairly easy if the brand was built with a good infrastructural foundation.
right.
It flows pretty cool from there.
So, and people generally speaking are very much looking for sales, obviously. How do you explain to them that it's a process? There is the branding, it takes time over and over again sometimes. It takes multiple weeks or months or even years for people to pick up on how popular your brand actually is. So what do you do to those people that come in desperately looking for sales? Like, I have this new product, I want to make sales, or I have a business or a service, but we're looking for people. What do you tell those people?
So I think it's divided in two. The work that we do sometimes is instant type of work, like actual selling.
Okay.
And that's more, the turnaround is faster, but it's hype. Hype always dies.
So you do have campaigns.
It's like advertising,
You do campaigns,
right?
and advertising campaign.
So hype brings you to the top. You did a crazy teaser. You did a crazy, brilliant visual. Something like stands out, and people talk about it. They
Okay.
like it.
That's something you do.
It's conversation. Of course,
I
we
can
do.
come to you now and I can say I want to spend whatever $10,000 or $20,000, make a blast for positivity. Like, I have the
100%.
logo, I have the concept,
100%.
and you will go out of the box, basically out of what I thought we can do to make this reach 100,000
Exactly.
listeners and whatever. Okay.
So that's instant because the hype goes up, the excitement is built, everybody's talking about it, and you'll see the conversion. It will be there.
Right.
But when that dies, meaning after people see it,
And you'll be there means that what? That if it's what does being there mean? That if I'm not seeing the conversion that I like?
then it's our problem. We have to optimize and fix. So we work agile. As we go along, we keep on changing campaigns based on the feedback that we get, based on the tracking that we see.
Do you have your own, what's it called, like critic team, like your inner, or how many projects go to the boardroom where you sit with 10 people to just discuss and brainstorm ideas?
So we have creative meetings all the time, once a week for sure.
Okay.
When we discuss in depth what we're trying to solve. Not how beautiful it should look, but rather what we're trying to solve strategically. And these are the things that we break our heads to do and think differently.
Do you
that's
love
where it
that? You
plays.
work well
I
on a
live
team?
there. I live there.
Right.
Problem solving at the core. Design is phase two. People think design is just like, you look at it, it's beautiful, I'll try to make it nice, move it up, move it down, make it red, make it blue. You need to solve the bridge. You have to gap the difference of the product, the service, and the customer.
And you probably get the best ideas. I heard this, I have to say this, we had this on an episode with Ezra Max. He told me, or maybe he told it to me in private, this guy that has a meeting with his team and he asked them, guys, I want the worst ideas. Everybody should say the worst ideas. Because that's where the good ideas
Comes from the other side.
And you probably have them. I met your team. They're super creative.
We have
So
some
do you
cool people, the coolest people.
Yeah.
Seriously.
So do you do that? But you're the leader. So do you do that? Do you ask them share your? Do you give them
All
the
the time.
space?
So we sit together, and when we sit together, people throw out ideas. I see always some people being embarrassed with their ideas. Like, I see their brain is cooking, but they don't want to say it. And we're like, that's what I want. Give it to me. Because I want you to take away the brain from I'm at. I'm at a certain idea. If I would like it, I would use it. I need to expand my brain. I need to go to new spaces.
This beautiful culture that you have, is this your vision? Is this, you made this? Whose credit is this? The beautiful space, the beautiful team.
I'll take credit for parts of it. I think that my personality is very inclusive in terms of trying to get people involved in what I do.
Yeah.
I love to mentor and teach and learn with people and grow with them. I love to learn from others too, but like giving people the tools and helping them execute what they have in their brain. They were limited about doing that, and now they just suddenly could work it out, or opening their eyes to new design styles or trends. I find that very
Right.
gratifying. Yeah, it's really amazing.
Right. Wow, that's beautiful. Okay, well, because you did it very well.
And I learned positivity from people like you. I envy
Thank you.
people who have so much positivity. I always want more. So I try to train myself to see better things and to find solutions to challenges versus fixing problems. It's like every challenge is just a new objective of trying to get to the core solution, and the solution has to be brilliant. Because especially in marketing, by the way, a solution is not always how do I fix this. The solution has to suddenly start working as a puzzle. So the slogan has to complement the logos and the brand's perception, and then that has to be built in visuals that slide in with that beautifully. It's a storytelling process
Wow.
that all the elements have to come together. It's not like this problem, this solution. The solution has to be able to be expanded and solved through multiple different markets and ideas. So it's like really throwing together a real complex mess and beautifying it into a simple solution.
Wow. That's beautiful. And also the second type of marketing, you mentioned one is an advertising blast. I love that, by
Right,
the way.
that's the hype side.
I love that side, by the way, because so many people call me for social media and they're like, I want to make more sales. And I say, no problem, reach out to a marketing company or GCNY. But what's the other side? The other
The
side.
problem with that is that it dies because excitement builds up and everybody talks about it, but it
Ah,
goes down just as fast as it comes up.
and you tell this to the people, like I can put in the ads
Of
and
course.
stuff,
So we
but
do that.
unless,
Sometimes, let's say a sale for any store or brand is something that they want to move out quantity. They're
yeah,
stuck with inventory, whatever it is. So you want to just pick it up, sell it out, and leave.
right,
The other side is really in-depth route marketing, meaning you're trying to convince people to understand you differently, to connect you in a very specific mood or a very specific need or want, whatever it is. That's a psychological journey, and it doesn't happen with one or two ads. It happens with campaigning, smart, brilliant messaging, editorials, video. There's a comprehensive path of how you have to get there, and for every brand it's different depending on the audience, depending on the product or service. But that's psychological. I'm tripping on someone's brain. I'm
yeah.
taking them on a ride, and it takes time.
You're talking about the consumer and the
Yes,
customer.
yes.
What
It's all
about,
about, I won't call it manipulation, but it's strategic information that makes you think differently about something.
yeah? Are you doing Hatzolah this year?
You do every year, actually, yes.
Okay, so can you give us an insight? Like, what's this year I saw it was they answer your call. This is
This
the
was
call.
24/7 with this year, I think.
This was the 20. They are available 24/7.
Yeah, something like that, right?
So who came up with that? Because I know that's a very successful campaign. I think a lot of money goes into it from what I usually see, the ads and.
Right.
But what are we trying to capture there? Are we trying to make everybody emotional? Like is that
It's
all
very
part
interesting.
of?
Hatzolah is a very interesting client just because they're so well known and they're so
Right.
appreciated by the people. You see them every single day.
Right.
So the relationship is extremely
There
easy
is
to deal with. When you talk about an organization like RCCS, let's say, and that's a very interesting point. When we started RCCS, it had a negative ring to it. We scared people.
Yeah.
We showed people the people that look like they're sick, or the messaging was extremely aggressive and powerful, and it worked. It really did. But as they became more and more known to people, we really started going into a zone of like hope and positivity and happiness, and it tends to work much better.
That
And I was
yellow
shocked.
must
So
have.
scaring is an old school method of just like throwing information at you that punches you in the face and forces you to participate. And I find that the hopeful thing just gives people a much more enjoyable relationship with an organization.
I totally agree.
So you'll see we did the yellow color for them, obviously.
Yes, that's I was going to ask.
You see, so it's just like it brings you an enjoyable vibe and vibrant.
And red, right? Yellow and
Yeah,
red.
yeah.
So,
Red gives you that little punch.
yeah.
Right, but the majority of it is usually yellow.
Red is more like medical, no?
Exactly.
Or heartbeat.
Right. So RCS is known as yellow, not as red, because we overflow the yellow intentionally to get that great mood
beautiful.
going. So back to positivity.
Yeah.
It's just such an impactful tool to relate to people. It's just hard to express it on paper sometimes because you can't
Right.
always be like happy and jolly on paper. You don't have emotions on paper. In video, you have a little bit more, but the ability to hug people through positivity connects them in a crazy way. And I've tested this with clients, and I see it.
Wow.
It's impressive.
Wow. So I do. That's beautiful that you touched on it because I know these campaigns are very successful and that's something that everybody knows and sees. So thank you for touching on that. something that I'm curious about is how do you pick the brain of a client? They sit in here, they have no idea what they want. How do you, and then you have that image, and then you're like, so we're gonna go crazy, we're gonna do billboards, and then they're like, what do you mean? I wanted to do the lichatzibir. Like, how do you bridge that gap between you're going crazy and they're like
making them crazy?
Exactly.
It's interesting. It depends on a client. Some clients are ready to take risks, you know, and I love these people, obviously.
Yeah.
You know, they let me do things that are not expected.
Yeah.
And some people fight you. You know, they think that they don't want to like be so daring and go out of the comfort zone. I think it pays off for people who do that because, especially today, open any magazine, Jewish, no, it doesn't matter. It's just jam-packed with so much information. So in order to stand out, you have to do something unconventional. You have to go away from the expected. People expect the company to do certain things. When you hit them the wrong way, the right way, I mean, but the wrong way, it just gives them a different perception, and it stays in their brain for a few seconds, and that's what we're fighting for. You know, the consumer's brain space is the most expensive thing that you want to get.
Yeah.
So to your point, to convince people to do like innovative stuff, if the idea is good and it works with the brand's image, and it explodes to the right audience, there's a lot of power to it. So it's not so hard to convince people to do that, but they have to be in that zone. Definitely.
Yeah, I love that. My next question is like, what is the process when a brand comes into your, you know, I'm thinking a typical example. Let's say and there's so many groceries out there, if I open a grocery, what would be the process that you do within your company to brainstorm what we're going to do here?
Very good question.
Okay.
So we struggle on this for years. Seriously, for years.
Well, where to start?
How do you pull out the information that you really need from a person who knows it in his head, but it doesn't have it organized? Every single company I talk to knows who they are, but they don't know how to say it or how to put it down on paper. Yeah. And that's our job, to pull it out, shake it up, and then spread it out beautifully. That's how we have to do it. So before I start any project, I'm really trying to understand why this company is special. They call it USPs, unique selling points, and what they offer in terms of product or service that could closest connect to the customer. Meaning, everybody offers multiple things, but there are needs, there are wants. You really have to figure out what is like the low-hanging fruit, we call it, that I could just grab, wash it off, beautify it, and sell it. Right. Okay, so I have to understand the neshama of a brand. Like, why are you? Who are you? It's not about why they started the story, but what is the product you're delivering, helping in any way? Once I understand the positioning of the brand's advantage, I'm able to take that and channel it into creative, into naming, into designing, because whatever that mood is, if it's a regal luxury experience, you have to convey that verbally, visually. You want to dig into that. Even references that you mention or talk about is always like very, very unique based on the details. Like, they could be two of the same companies, but both open for a different reason and both have a different passion. So you really have to divide these two because you want to shine in the piece that you shine. Yeah. So that process has been worked on for the past 12 to 15 years. And today we have a form of intake, but even after that form of intake, when I process that information, I always call back the customer and ask them 20 more questions. There has to be a real grind of the psychological part of the company.
Right. I also love that you touched on what problem are we solving, because that gave me a window into seeing that perhaps this is kind of your mission in life, maybe, to help people and to help the end consumer.
Let me ask you, why do you have a podcast?
Two reasons. I love talking, so this I have to do this. It doesn't feel right if I don't do it. But second of all is because I love helping people. People listen to this and change. Today I already have a lot of people messaging me, by the way, I started the business, I started this, I started that. I
love this. You see, the first reason is not sellable. The fact that you love it doesn't mean that somebody else loves to listen to you talk.
Right.
Right?
Right.
It's a good theory. You hope so, and that's why you launch your podcast, but that's not sellable. The second reason is the sale. I'm bringing value to people, right? That you can package. You have to listen to my podcast because you will gain ABC. So that's an outcome-driven concept that dissects the information in a way where I could deliver it to people. Right.
But somebody comes to you and is like, I have a mission, I want to make money with my brand.
Exactly.
Okay, I can't work with that. I also have a mission that I want to sell the best products in the best comfortable environment. I can work with that.
That's
what
better.
you're saying.
What is the outcome of the mission? You want to help the customer be more comfortable.
Wow. How
That's
do you
the
do
last
that,
step.
though? Because so many people are selfish, Yossi. So how do you, like, many people, they don't have the why, right? You know, they don't have the why they're doing what they're doing.
I hardly have to create
They're
the
just
why
like, my
for it.
father opened a fish company and here I am.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So
Smelling
how do you-
since then.
Right.
Exactly.
So how do you how do you create for them the why?
It's difficult. It's difficult to work. Everybody works differently. Some people are expressive. Some people hold back information. I have to sometimes fight and pull teeth of
Right.
people just like, give me what you're thinking. Because everybody's thinking. Everybody has ideas and where they're at. And you're like, how do you pull it out? So it's very difficult.
How do you? Yossi, how do you do it?
You have to get
'Cause I know you're
comfortable with the
people's
person. I think
yeah.
you have to get comfortable with people before. You have to break them a little bit. I like to break people, by the way.
Yeah.
You tell them things they don't expect you to tell them.
I always do it.
It's like wild and weird, but they're like, at the end, after 3-4 trials, they crack. And once they crack, their shoulders go down.
I
you become
love
comfortable,
that. That's-
and you're able to laugh and have a good
That's
time
very
and pull out
Scorpio.
information.
That's extremely Scorpio, by the
to
way.
the Scorpios.
Because that's literally what I do. I can walk into a client. I do this intentionally. I'll pick my nose. I'll scratch myself in an uncomfortable spot just so that
You're pushing it, but okay.
I am pushing it, but it works every time.
Right.
I do this in the summer. I do it every time. I meet my clients or a future client. I'm like, the heat is terrible. It's giving me a rash. How are you doing today? Once I said that, Yossi, all the walls,
Right,
just
they come
the
down,
resistance,
it's
they all
true.
come down. Like, really? Wow, I have the same thing. Okay, now we bond.
I feel like a psychologist sometimes, don't you?
Yes, because you read people even though you're not trying to.
You like just have to understand what they're doing and moving and saying, and like you have to read it.
Right.
It's unbelievable.
And it's a gift.
It is a gift.
It's a gift.
It's an intuition. You're born with these things. I don't think you could develop that talent.
No.
Hashem gives it
can't.
to you. You just
Right,
float with it.
Right. Some people have it, that they're people, a people's person, they call it.
You know, about management, some people could manage things. Linear brains could manage things amazingly. Because they're focused on what they're doing, they know what they want to do. The creative brain starts doing one thing, he hears an email thing, and he runs to that, and then he runs back to his food, and he comes back. It's like just,
Right.
there's so much going on in their brains. It's scary.
Right. Speaking of a lot going on, you actually, I studied you a little bit, and I know that you like invest of some of the people that come here, and we just say, you're pulling their teeth, but you actually invest in these companies. So
Rarely, but sometimes.
Right. So can you talk about that? Like, is that something you enjoy? Do you enjoy investing in a company, seeing the output? How much of that makes you a lot more of an entrepreneur?
So I'll tell you when I do that. And that same idea about creativity. Most people who own businesses are linear. They think about their business, right? They like it. They're passionate about it. They try to get to the highest levels with it.
Yeah.
And sometimes I watch that, I'm saying like, you know what you could do with this? You're just not using the creative side of thinking. So like, let's bring it in. Let's pour gasoline on it and explode it in totally different markets or ideas, whatever it is. I had a clothing brand that I invested in. They sold animal hoodies, and we designed the hoodies for them. And we were just having these relationship, whatever. And I saw the product. They sold it up in the West or whatever. They sold it in places where people want the traditional type of clothing.
Right.
And I saw the same exact product, and I said, one second, this fits in the streetwear category. Streetwear is the wacky, oversized, hangy type of clothing space in cities. It's very trendy now, okay? So we transferred markets. He stayed his own owner on that side, but for the streetwear, we channeled it together.
Right.
And we had crazy success. Like movie actors picked it up and sent us release forms to sign it. Chance the Rapper is a huge rapper, used it in one of his biggest videos.
Right. DJ Khaled.
Exactly, right, on that video. So it's just amazing how like, it's just thinking differently. And I don't know, I got this gift. I can't own up to it because I could develop it and polish it.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's sitting over here, everybody sees why it's here and it's selling, it's okay, but you just totally throw it somewhere else. So that's genius.
Right. I was going to say give a message of chizik, but I think you just said it. That's basically the people listening now, everybody's going to start asking themselves, what is my gift? What is the talent that I have? Because that's what you're doing every time somebody walks in here. You're like seeing in that person. Do you feel like their mission of their company has anything to do with the results of the outcome? Because that's what you're saying. Like you have to know their clear why, that way you can sell their product. Does it really have to connect? Does every campaign that you do or branding that you do need to have an neshama, meaning one person that really cares for this?
I think that...
You got my question?
Yes. I think that consumers quietly and subconsciously
Wow.
connect to the deep thinking of the owner of whatever thing they're working with.
Wow.
Because it reflects on a company. You walk into some
insane.
companies and you feel really good. Like the environment is great. You walk into other companies, everything is tight. Everybody's at their desk and like,
Yeah.
And everything comes from the top. You know, if the owner is a certain way, or if the key people of the company are a certain way,
Yeah.
it reflects on the entire company. So
Wow.
I think that there should be a real connection between the mission of the person and the marketing that they do. It doesn't have to be extremely exact, but it has to touch on the same concept.
Right.
Because it shines through. It really shines through.
Wow, that's perhaps one of the most inspiring answers. Because I feel the same. Like many times I ask myself, like, also, why do I do what I do? And then I notice the better I get at that, the better the impact it has. And I've done it in my company many times where I pivoted also, like from, as I described before, let's say like sometimes being, in the beginning it felt a little bit like a scam. I was so unprofessional. But then I noticed how getting better and better and better, I grew into it and I started seeing the real results and it just became a lot more beautiful.
In terms of chizik or whatever that is, it's amazing if you open your eyes and you have patience, you see how Hashem just like maneuvers things for you. I had a healthcare company that came to me in a certain area. They're a big healthcare company and I really wanted the account. It's like, it's good. It's what we do. We know how to roll. We know healthcare. Like bring it in, we'll explode it.
Right.
And I worked and I pushed them and we met and I grinded and we didn't get the account.
Okay.
And I was very frustrated because this would have been a nice little name to have on our portfolio. And like the project is also something that's easy for us to do. We know it. It's like, it's amazing. Lo and behold, 2 weeks after they told me no, their competing company, which is about 20 times as big as they are, came to us. We met, we closed. I would never be able to take that account. I would have lost the big account. You can't take direct competitors, right?
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. If you have the patience and you look out for the siyata d'shmaya, you look out for it. If I wouldn't think about it that way, I would just lose this and gain this. But if you see that's a replacement and you couldn't have this, I think it's cool.
Thank you for sharing that.
It's really amazing. But it takes patience.
Very beautiful. It takes patience.
Nothing turns like that.
This is my question. When they said that no, before 2 weeks later you already understood, but when they said that no, what keeps you going?
It's a work in progress. They say, be like the BQE, right? Never stop working by yourself, right?
Yeah.
For me, that's like, you keep on evolving. When you see it, it builds you up, and then you have to reinvent it, you know?
Do you feel like that applies to life? People waiting for a shidduch and like somebody says no and then a week later?
You don't always see both sides, so you don't always enjoy to see the outcome and the reasoning, but there's a plan. You know, some things in my life don't make sense at all.
Yeah.
And then suddenly things like start maneuvering. It takes a while. Nothing happens like that. But you know, there's hardships and there's complexities and there's even projects. Sometimes I'm stuck on a project and I just can't get it out.
Yeah.
There's a blockage or whatever it is. But ultimately, when the presentation is due, it's a shining, beautiful star. You know? How do I know how to get that? It just popped in. Wow. But it couldn't come at the wrong time. Don't ask me why.
Right. Do you feel like Hashem is controlling your thoughts? Because sometimes I feel that way. Like, am I consciously thinking, or is it just coming in ideas?
Ideas, yes, but it's a good question. Because he controls everything.
Like the question I just
you
asked.
You feel like you control your thoughts, though.
Yeah, exactly.
And you like change it when you want to and work with it when you want to.
Yeah, I said yesterday, I put out a post and it went viral. I said, today I made a decision to give up and to give to Hashem. Like, why do I have to control everything?
That's surrender.
Surrender, yeah.
Surrender is real.
Right. So you seem like a very deep person, but then you told me like you don't really meditate or do these things.
I said I'm smart and fast.
Smart and fast.
That gives you enough to work with.
No, you seem very conscious of life. You're very aware.
Yeah, I'm working on it. I meditate. It's very hard for creative people to meditate.
You actually meditate?
It's painful.
Wow.
It's painful.
Right. I say meditating is sitting 5-10 minutes without any distractions. I think people think of meditation.
With emptying out your brain, basically.
Yeah, or watching your brain.
Or watching your brain.
That's very important because sometimes we don't even know.
It's fun. It's fun.
Yeah, I discovered today what I call, people have fears, then people have tunnels of fears. A tunnel of fear is something that's already like a buildup. They have, you have what I'm saying? There's like
Right.
little
It's in a
fears.
bubble.
They're in a bubble that, and they're already living in it, and it's already catastrophizing. Some call it rumination. Like,
It's pretty
you
cool.
seem smiling because you seem like you're above that. Like you,
I'm not above it.
no, meaning that you are in a good, you're in a good place. And
You
you're
have to
just-
work your way out, you know?
Right. What's your favorite task of during your day, or favorite activity here?
Strategy, definitely.
Yeah.
Figuring out a solution to 12 problems, that one solution solves everything.
You do that alone, or you do that sitting with one of your team, or in the
I need
boardroom?
people to stimulate my brain, meaning shoot something small, I could build it out. Even if you thought it's not so real, that's why I like to ask people for their stupid ideas in meetings, because I just need that trigger in the brain. And once I have it, I could just climb
you
up
can
and
build on
expand
that.
it 100% all the time.
That's genius.
It's fun.
Right. For when it comes to hiring people, are you involved in the hiring? I mean,
Not anymore,
Do you
no.
find creativity in people, or
Not really. Meaning
Only
the key
at
people
top
I'll always
position?
like, exactly.
yeah? And what do you look for usually?
Depends for the position. Sometimes crazy,
Oh, okay.
sometimes structured. You know, it depends what the position is.
Right. But you
But
have a good
creativity
sense.
is very hard to pull out of a person in a meeting. Like
Right.
you have to there's some tactics, putting people on the spot, you know,
Yeah.
but some people need space to think.
Right. I also saw that you sit a lot one-on-one. Every time I'm here, you're sitting with another one of your team, another person of your team. Is that something that you like integrate? You make sure that you have time for them so that they can share? Is
Some of my
is that you
biggest-
want to have a control, or is that you want to be helping them?
So my biggest passion is nurturing people in marketing. I love to talk about it, to train people. I'm doing it for so many years, and I figured out so many different things, and so many different approaches to solve things. In a messy, crazy brain, I love giving that over to people and then watch them take that and work with it. For
How
me,
do you
it's-
tell? It's the most exciting podcast ever because he answers so quickly, and it just gives me the ability to ask
told you.
more questions.
Fast and smart, not deep.
Yeah, man, that's beautiful. I have
deep
a very
enough.
interesting question. How do you tell a client, a potential client, or one of your employees that this idea or concept or design is horrible?
It happened.
Are you direct, or you're just like, sorry, I really don't like this?
No, so I would always explain why. I don't
Why?
like it.
Okay, here comes the
And
logic.
some people get offended, but they respect the process, you know? And if my idea, it's not about my idea or your idea, you know? It's about building an idea, and you need multiple people to build an idea, because the spark could come from one person, but the build out is wide. I told you,
Yeah.
you have to be able to implement that in companies' teams, in companies' marketing, in companies' products. You have to develop it. It's not just an idea and you walk away. An idea is not worth much if it's not implemented. So to implement any concept and spread it wide, there's so much to do. So any person that has a creative brain is able to expand another creative brain.
Right. Do you see yourself in 10 years from now having like this office on the entire floor, or this is like you're comfortable with this?
I don't think so.
maybe
We have a plan of growth, but I don't think we're going national now. I think we want to be curated, have the time and patience to deal with the clients that we need. You want to grow bigger, but not go crazy. We go crazy, but not go crazy in terms of size. I think size kills creativity at one point. Even if you have a lot of good people, the infrastructure starts like falling apart. So it's probably capped at about 50 people.
Wow.
For me.
I love that. You're happy with what you have. It's
Look
very
around.
important.
It's beautiful.
You ever take this for granted?
How could I? It's not because of me.
Wow. Are your kids creative like you are?
All of them.
Yeah,
Music, art, creativity.
You know, I have a board behind my desk at home and my office that I have my clients over there. My 7-year-old brother drew his logo. It's called this company name. I don't want to even give out the idea because it's actually a good idea.
Okay.
And he hung it up on the wall. So it comes to show, like he's 7, he made his own logo. He has a business and a business idea and he hung it up on the wall.
That's very cool.
And yesterday he's like, I'm your client because I'm hanging on your wall. You have to do work for me. So you see that with your kids, they follow.
I think with kids, you have to give them the tools. A lot of people fail to do that. Like if a kid could play music, right? You could either get him the basic keyboard because he could play, you know, it has like music and sounds.
Yeah.
Or you could step him up, pushing, you know?
Right.
Like my father bought me that scanner.
Yeah.
It wasn't traditional to buy scanners for an 8-year-old.
Shout out to your father's podcast, by the way.
100% respect.
What's it called again?
Let's talk tachlis. Of course.
Yeah.
So conceptually, I think you have to give kids the tools, and with art, the same thing. You know, I bought my kids this little Cricut machine that cuts out like stickers and stuff. They make with it crazy stuff.
Right.
It's beautiful to see how their brains put together elements and colors and styles. It's like at a younger age, your brain could grow much faster and learn much better and like soak in more.
Right.
So the more you give them at a younger age, the more they'll know.
Right. I have a very important question that I asked you already offline a while ago. I'm going to ask it again. When you're so good at marketing and branding, why not just open up your own brands actually? I know it's not your passion, but if the fact is that if I open now a grocery, a fish store, a butcher, whatever, you're going to give me the best strategy ever. You're going to make me number one. That's the type of company you are. Why don't you do it yourself? Or why don't you continue why don't you do it yourself?
So I have a lot of clients that are scared when they come to me that I'll just take their idea and run with it.
Okay.
Because like, what does it take? You have the marketing elements, you know the idea, and you could just run with it.
Right.
But the fact is, we're in the creative business. We're not in the execution side of business.
Right.
So I have other companies that I'm partnered with and work on, and I love the business infrastructure of that. But my passion is in creating, not in really selling. You know, it's in selling things for people to sell, and creating and crafting moods and identities and persuasion of customers. For me, that excites me, that wakes me up every day. So
You're staying in your niche.
I like it.
Yeah.
It's difficult. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of pressure and a lot of deadlines and management and teaching and nourishing people. But every business is complex, you know.
Anything that you're looking to add in your company, like another
Services?
service? Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to add some digital products. The world is changing, and even the Jewish market specifically is also slowly inching into more digital type of
Digital social media?
social media,
or like
ads, you know,
billboards,
social
these-
ads. No, not digital billboards. I mean like real digital trackable media. You know?
Okay, yeah.
So ads, especially
Facebook is really good with
PPC, SEO, all these type of stuff. So we want to advance
You
a
do
little more.
SEO already?
We do SEO and we do paid social, like ads on Instagram and Facebook.
Right.
So interesting for the Jewish market, it didn't sink in yet. It's starting.
Right.
But it's happening.
It
and,
is
and for our non-Jewish markets that we work on, it's huge.
Do you believe in TV ads? You ever did TV
It
ads
is
for your
extremely impactful, again, depending on the product and the audience. For older people, TV is much stronger than Instagram, right?
Right. Well, healthcare is one of your specialties.
Exactly.
Do you do
Sure, we do on TV and billboards, like big mass media type of
How do you
things.
decide with which vendors to work with? Because I know you have so many photographers, videographers, designers, like so many different that you do outsource.
Right.
So is there just a couple of people that you like, or how does that work?
I think in every space we have a preferred vendor,
Right.
meaning somebody that works with us well, understands what we need, gets it done on time, and like preferred vendors. But for some projects, you got to go to people for talent. Sometimes you're looking for something specific in terms
Right.
of style or whatever. So you'll work with someone even if you're not so immune to their style, you still want their talent. So you're gonna hustle the hustle to get that.
Right. How do you handle pressure? Because I know that you're like, everything is on a time here. Weekly ads, campaigns, designs, seasonal.
It's crazy. It's crazy. I don't sleep a lot.
No?
I can't.
Why?
I don't have time.
How many hours do you sleep per night?
Probably 6.
Okay, that's not bad.
That's not enough. You need 7 to 8 hours.
Yeah.
6 is just enough.
Yeah, I do okay with 7.
But you know, your head has to be, if you're in the creative space, you have to be creative and your brain has to be able to function. It's difficult. I don't have time to eat during the day. I don't eat. I eat a little breakfast and I
Well,
eat
now
dinner.
that I'm your coach,
Let's talk about it.
I'm gonna speak to Raquel or somebody to make sure that.
They serve us. Exactly. I've been
That's what I
waiting for
would
you. Come on.
No, but really, I'm serious. Like, you have assistants, like have them.
It's
bring
very
you
tough.
lunch
It's very
and
tough.
stuff.
With pressure, it's tough. Especially
You gotta
creative-
eat. You
with
gotta
the
take care
creative
of yourself.
blockage, when you have a creative blockage on a project, you could bang your head in the wall. It just won't move. You have to walk away, do
Right.
something else, take space, and come back.
Right,
And that's so. It's you see them.
right.
It's pain.
But you should work on self-care, Yossi. Like,
I know.
because
All-
like
all
you're
my
caring
people
for
tell
everybody.
Me. My
Yeah.
team is not happy with my self-care level. Neither is my wife.
Wow. Okay.
I have to invest in myself more.
From this podcast on,
What's the
I'm
first
saying it
step?
because I really
What would be the first step?
giving yourself time.
How much time?
Time. 10, 15 minutes, even 10, 15 minutes, even 5 minutes does the job. But 10, 15 minutes that you know this is my time. No phones, no laptop, no computer. No, nothing. Just
You know what?
10, 15 minutes.
Starting today.
Anything else you want to add?
No, I'm impressed with how you're growing and pushing things.
Thank
Your
you.
giggle, when you walk into this office, you come here once a week at least, and your giggle is just amazing.
Thank you.
Really, your vibe and your positivity, your hopefulness.
Thank you.
And I know you're into manifesting.
Yeah.
It didn't work last time we tried it, by the way. You manifested that somebody's going to come to my office in the next 2 minutes.
Well, nobody's supposed to be coming there.
Of course, they come
But
all the
I manifested
time.
this brownie bar because
And
I
then
was
boom, it dropped in here.
Yeah.
Yeah, manifesting is cool. It definitely sets you in a mood of hopefulness and positivity.
Yeah.
So that's impressive.
Yeah, we're all going, we all have a destination. Like you have business goals and business dreams, and you see how they come into life.
How are you changing the world?
I believe that through sharing and validating people, that's really my message. Now, my slogan actually, it's not on the thing, but it's a hug through your headphones.
Very
That's
cute.
my slogan. Yeah.
Very fuzzy.
Yeah, and that's what it is. I'm not here to help or to inspire. To inspire, yeah, not to change. That's not my thing. My thing is, I just want to show you that it's life. Like our conversation, we're talking about taking care of ourselves and the creativity and how we're going out there gives people that they can now choose for themselves to say, wow, you know, maybe I could do it. Look, here you have two Hasidic
It opens their brain a little. Right.
Like me personally, like my life till now, I'm 26, and Baruch Hashem, I have a successful company, and that's the only reason I'm sharing it, because to tell everybody you can have your own dream. I've built this in 2 years. Everybody can have their own dream. Everybody can live the life that they. So I'm trying to be a little bit of an example, but most of all is validating, because I don't know what to tell people. I don't know how to give them chizik all the time. It's not about it. It's about telling them that it's okay. I'm also living life, and I'm also experiencing what I'm experiencing. So yeah.
I see you a lot talking to the mirror.
Yeah.
Why do you do that?
It's a great question, because we all speak to a mirror every single day. It's just not the actual mirror, but we all have an inner voice. It's good. We all have an inner voice, and that inner voice is telling you always, as we're talking right now, you're thinking, what's Eli gonna say? Like, how's he gonna answer? But does he like the fact that I turned the question on him? And as I'm saying this, I'm thinking, what's Yossi thinking now? Like, did I really nail his? Did I really figure it out? So there's an inner voice in us going on all the time. Most of the time, that inner voice is negative. And why is it negative? For very healthy reasons, because the parents or teachers or friends, we're there to protect us, told us, be careful, don't go there, watch, whatever, all these things gave us an inner negative voice. So most people that are listening to this and thinking, should I open a business? While they're listening to this in their car, in bed or whatever, they're like, nah, it's not good for me.
And they listen to the positivity and they're like, maybe yes.
Exactly. But that's the inner voice. Who told them, nah, don't do this?
Right.
Like, I'm thinking to myself, am I feeling good now? Nah, I don't think so. I don't know. Well, I want that inner voice to always be positive.
Right.
When we talk to the mirror and we tell ourselves, you're amazing, you're awesome, you're beautiful, you're giving yourself these kind of words that you really want to hear.
So it resonates into your brain.
Correct. And after a while, instead of challenging you and being a negative voice inside your head, it becomes a very positive voice.
You see it changing?
Of course. This is how I built my company. Everything that I have in my company, the employees, the clients, the money, everything is something that I visualized, that I imagined for myself. And I remember that change in my head, when one day I saw success as a must. I must be successful, rather than the inner voice that was telling me, no, Eli, you're supposed to be working a job.
Very interesting. Very impressive.
Thank you.
You're young and you're like really up there.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna have to take off.
Yeah, me too.
This was an amazing experience, by the way.
I
love
love
my first podcast.
Really?
Yeah, I don't like talking too much, but when you told me you want to talk, I'm like, bring it on.
Right.
I love your energy. Like,
right. And Bakshan, we have a beautiful community. It's really literally tens of thousands of people, but they're very positive, and they really love the work that I do. It's unique. It's something that nobody does.
You're very attractive in that way.
Hashem. No,
seriously, your energy is extremely attractive.
Oh, thank you.
People,
I appreciate it.
Watching it is just like feeling good about yourself.
Thank
you
you.
know?
Thank you. I love I love that compliment because I heard this a lot. People listen to my podcast and they feel like they can't get off it. And that's actually what I try to do. There's lots of good podcasts there. I love all of them. I listen to all of them. I love the people that run them. And usually these podcasts are either they like are agenda driven or they're entertainment. For me, my podcast always had to be about positivity and teaching something to people and also making them smile. So that's why I try to keep it positive and fluffy. And most of the podcast with your team is very funny actually. It's
Okay,
very
cool.
very entertaining. It's a lot of laughs, and that was the goal, because that's also something I think I'm going to be niching into, to making like entertaining podcasts, not
Very
just
cool.
so serious talking about the emotional. I mean, this was very valuable, but not always. Usually, till now, my podcasts were like very serious about emotional. Now that we helped everybody emotionally, now we're
Let's
going
pick it up.
exactly
Exactly.
with the vibe. Thank you everybody for listening. Thank you Yossi for joining in.
was
Please
really
make
nice.
sure. Thank you. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, or follow whichever platform you're listening on. And please comment. That means a lot to me. If you made it this far, leave a comment. Even just a few emojis will help me know where the podcast is going. And make sure to share it with a friend. If you know somebody that's in the creative space or just wants to listen to two Hasidic people talking about their daily lives, please share the podcast. It really helps us out. Thank you so much.
Bop, do, 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 bop, bop.